New York never sleeps, but tonight it wasn't just awake, it was terrified. The skyline burned with falling streaks of light, like the heavens themselves had been torn apart. Each comet wasn't rock, wasn't fire, it was alive. And every rooftop Spider-Man swung across echoed with the shrill, chittering cries of something that didn't belong to Earth. Peter Parker had heard that sound before. A week ago, in a deep lab beneath Oscorp, where an off-world sample had been smuggled in. It had taken only 3 days for that sample to hatch, for a single alien drone to carve its way through steel and human flesh alike. He thought he destroyed it. He was wrong. Yeah, okay, Spidey muttered, hanging upside down from a web between 2 skyscrapers, watching the swarm descend on Manhattan. Note to self, next time, double-tap the acid-blooded death bug. The streets below were chaos. Taxis overturned, police sirens cut off by screams. Fire hydrants burst open with steam billowing into the air. People ran, and crawling out of craters in the asphalt came creatures with black, skeletal armor, tails like serrated spears, and mouths within mouths. Aliens, hundreds of them, an alien hive spreading like wildfire. The first encounter, Spider-Man didn't hesitate. He dove headfirst, webbing 3 creatures in a tight bundle before swinging them into a building. Their screeches pierced the night as acid blood splattered and hissed against concrete. Okay, Peter panted, perching on a lamppost. That's 3 down, several million to go. Totally fine. Totally. The ground shook. A much larger form rose from a crater, taller than any truck, its elongated head gleaming under neon lights. Its screams silenced the city for a heartbeat. A Praetorian, a general of the Hive. Spidey froze, whispering, "Oh boy, definitely not in the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man handbook." The alien lunged. Peter fired a desperate web line, only for it to snap as acid burned through. He barely dodged a tail strike that split the pavement like an axe. He was fast, but this thing was faster, smarter, deadlier. And then the world shook again, but this time from above. A symbol in the skies. From the burning clouds descended a red and blue blur. The sonic crack of his arrival shattered glass windows for blocks. He landed between Spider-Man and the monster with a thunderous crash, cape billowing like a flag of war. "Get behind me," said the voice. Steady, calm, commanding. Spider-Man blinked, stunned. "You've got to be kidding me." Superman, the Man of Steel, didn't answer. His eyes glowed red as he unleashed twin beams of heat vision, cutting across the alien Praetorian's chest. The creature shrieked and stumbled back, but did not fall. Acid sprayed, sizzling on Superman's armor, and for the first time Peter realized something terrifying. Superman was hurt. The acid clung, burning holes through even Kryptonian strength. Clark gritted his teeth, tearing the armor off and tossing it aside before it spread. "Okay," Spider-Man whispered, crouching low. "So they can hurt him too. That's not great." The Praetorian struck again. Superman caught its claws, muscles straining, but the beast's strength was nearly equal to his own. Acid dripped dangerously close to his face as they grappled. "Web it," Clark shouted. "On it." Spidey fired rapid webs, sealing the monster's jaw shut and binding its arms just long enough for Superman to punch it through 3 buildings. The crash echoed like thunder. Silence. For a second. Then, dozens more screeches erupted across the city. The Hive had noticed them. The team-up begins. Spider-Man landed beside Superman, catching his breath. "Okay, wow. So hi. I'm Spider-Man, big fan, love the cape. But, are you seeing what I'm seeing? Because this looks like a full-on alien apocalypse, and I left my bug spray at home." Superman didn't smile. His gaze scanned the horizon, where the alien swarm spread like living shadows. "This isn't just New York," he said grimly. "I've seen this before, on other worlds. Once the Hive establishes a queen, entire planets fall within weeks." Peter's mask hid his expression, but his voice shook. "You're saying this is intergalactic bad news?" "Yes." Superman turned toward him, eyes intense. "But together we can stop it. You know the city. You can move faster through it than I can. I need your help." Spider-Man stared at him for a long moment, then sighed. Man, when I woke up today, my biggest worry was rent. Now it's save the planet with Superman. Yeah, sure. Why not? The Hive awakens. Before either could move, the ground split open. Chitinous towers erupted like black coral, reshaping Manhattan streets into a nightmare landscape. Organic tunnels spread outward, dripping with slime, glowing faintly with some alien bioluminescence. The Hive was building. From within, hundreds of smaller aliens crawled out, scouts, soldiers, hunters. And far above, a massive silhouette loomed in the smoke. The Alien Queen. Even Superman faltered at the sight of her. Her head was crowned with ridges like a monstrous throne, her body towering over skyscrapers. And her scream was a war horn that shook the city to its core. Peter whispered, She's bigger than the Statue of Liberty. Superman's fists clenched. And she's just getting started. Clash in the streets. The army descended. Superman shot into the sky, fists blazing with sonic booms as he ripped through swarms in midair. Every punch sent shockwaves across the city, but for every alien that fell, 3 more climbed from the Hive tunnels. On the ground, Spider-Man was a blur of webs and reflexes. He darted between collapsing cars and ruined storefronts, saving civilians while fighting off the relentless tide. He tied together 10 aliens at once and swung them into a bus, shouting, "Hope you guys bought tickets, because this is your last stop." But he was tiring. Acid burned through his suit in patches. Close calls were adding up, and the weight of the swarm pressed harder every minute. Superman rejoined him, landing hard enough to crack the street. His cape was torn, his chest plate scorched. "They're adapting," he warned, "learning my attacks. This Hive isn't just alive, it's intelligent." Spider-Man quipped, but his voice wavered. "Yeah, well, so am I, sort of. On good days. Okay, half the time. Fine, 40% of the time." The first victory. A screech cut through the battle. The Kryptonian from before, charging again. Its armor was cracked, but not broken. This time, Superman didn't wait. He tackled it mid-charge, slamming it into the asphalt. Acid splashed, burning his shoulder, but he didn't falter. Now Spider-Man. Peter leapt high, spinning webs in rapid fire until he cocooned the monster's head completely. Then Superman drove his fist straight through its chest, ripping out the inner jaw. The creature collapsed, twitching, then fell still. For the first time, the swarm hesitated. Their general was dead. Spider-Man landed beside him, panting. "Okay, that was insanely disgusting, but effective. Do we, have to do that like 1,000 more times?" Superman's jaw tightened. He looked toward the Queen in the distance, still watching, still waiting. "No," he said. "We have to cut off the Hive at its source. We have to kill the Queen." A city on the brink. Helicopters circled overhead, broadcasting the chaos live to the world. The people of New York huddled in ruined subway tunnels, praying. Soldiers and SHIELD agents fought block by block, but were overwhelmed. The city was falling. And yet, on one rooftop, 2 heroes stood against impossible odds. Spider-Man adjusted his torn mask, blood trickling down his arm. You know, Superman, teaming up with you sounded cool in theory. But in practice, I think I just pulled 6 muscles I didn't know I had. Superman allowed himself the faintest smile. "You're holding the line, Peter. That matters more than you know." "Yeah, well," Spidey said, looking at the Queen's silhouette. "Hope I matter enough when Mommy dearest over there comes knocking." The ground trembled again. The Hive tunnels spread wider, engulfing Times Square. Acid rivers burned through asphalt, and from the shadows, something new began to rise. Something even Spider-Man and Superman weren't ready for. The Queen's shadow. The night sky bled fire. Above New York, the Alien Hive silhouette spread like a cancer against the stars. Towers of bone and black chitin rose higher by the minute, reshaping Manhattan into an off-world nightmare. And in the heart of it, the Alien Queen stirred. Her claws gripped a skyscraper as if it were nothing more than driftwood. Her massive, fanged head tilted toward the heroes below. She had seen them kill her Praetorian. She remembered their defiance. She marked them. Spider-Man's doubt. Peter Parker crouched on a ruined rooftop, chest heaving, sweat mixing with blood. His mask was half burned away from acid, exposing tired eyes that refused to quit. He watched the hive spread across the city and whispered, "I can't do this. Not this time." For years, Spider-Man had fought villains who wore masks, men with egos, monsters with limits. But this was a force of nature, endless, relentless, hungry. He looked at Superman, still standing tall despite scorch marks, torn armor, and acid burns that should have killed him. Clark's eyes were steel, his breathing calm, a man of impossible will. And suddenly Peter felt smaller than ever. "You ever get scared?" Peter asked quietly. Superman didn't look away from the hive. "Every time. Fear means you understand the stakes. Courage is what you do next." Peter blinked, stunned into silence. Then he managed a shaky laugh. "Okay, Boy Scout, that's annoyingly inspirational. The hive adapts. The streets shifted. The hive wasn't just building, it was strategizing. Black spires sprouted with alien precision, cutting off escape routes, funneling survivors into dead ends. Acid rivers redirected like moats. And then they came, new breeds. From the tunnels crawled creatures with wings like razors, their screeches piercing like sonic blades. They dove through the air, spitting acid in streams. Flying xenomorphs. Spider-Man swore, "Great, because normal nightmare fuel wasn't enough. We needed the deluxe version with wings." Superman launched upward, intercepting the mid-sky. His fists blurred, smashing one after another. But for each he destroyed, more swarmed. Acid splattered across his cape, eating it away until only shreds remained. On the ground, Peter dodged and weaved, using every trick in his arsenal. He swung between collapsing buildings, snagging wings with webs, pulling monsters into each other like grotesque mid-air car crashes. But it wasn't enough. A scream split the night. The Queen had unleashed her elite, the Royal Guard. From the hive tower descended 4 monstrosities, taller than tanks, armored thicker than any alien before. Their tails ended in bladed tips, and their movements were coordinated, deliberate. Superman slammed into one head-on, and for the first time was knocked back. The guard strike sent him crashing through 3 city blocks, leaving a smoking crater. Spider-Man froze. If that guy can throw Superman across town, what the hell am I supposed to do? One of the guards turned toward him, hissing. Its elongated jaw dripped acid that hissed as it struck pavement. Peter's instinct screamed run, but his legs didn't move. Behind him, trapped in a bus, were survivors, families banging on the windows, crying for help. He swallowed hard. "Okay, Parker. Scared or not, they need you." With a yell, he webbed the guard's eyes, leapt onto its head, and drove both web shooters into its mouth, firing non-stop until it gagged and staggered. Acid splashed, burning his arms raw, but he didn't stop. Come on, choke on it." The guard thrashed, smashing him into the side of the bus. Peter fell, coughing blood, vision blurry. The monster raised its tail for the kill, and a blue blur ripped it apart mid-swing. Superman, battered but unbroken, stood over Peter, steam rising from acid burns on his chest. "On your feet, Spider-Man," he said. "This fight isn't over." Clash of Titans. The 4 royal guards descended together. Superman squared his stance, his voice firm. "They're here for me. I'll hold them. You get those civilians out." Spider-Man coughed, shaking his head. "Not a chance. You go toe-to-toe with those guys alone, you're going to end up space bug chow. We do this together." Clark's eyes softened for a moment. Then he nodded. Together, then. The street became a war zone. Superman grappled with 2 guards at once, trading blows that cracked the air like cannon fire. Every strike sent shockwaves through nearby buildings. One guard's claws sliced his shoulder open, another's tail drove into his ribs, but he refused to fall. Spider-Man used speed and brains, swinging around the guards, tangling their limbs with webs, blinding them long enough for Superman to land devastating hits. He lured one under a collapsing building, webbed the structure tight, then released it at the right second, burying the beast in rubble. But for every victory, the Queen roared louder. Her hive was learning, adapting. The queen moves. From her tower, the alien queen finally descended, her massive form blotting out neon lights. Each step cracked streets, her tail dragging like a guillotine. Spider-Man whispered, "Oh no, she's moving. She's actually moving." Superman, panting, bloody, eyes glowing faintly, turned to him. "Peter, this is it. She won't stop unless we stop her. Everything depends on this moment." The queen's scream shook the city, rattling windows miles away. The entire hive surged forward as if one mind commanded it. Soldiers, flyers, drones, all rushing like a tidal wave of black teeth and claws. Spider-Man felt his chest tighten. This wasn't a battle anymore. It was extinction knocking on humanity's door. And he and Superman were the only line left. The impossible plan. "Okay, big guy," Peter said quickly, brain working overtime. "Punching her in the face? Bad plan. Acid blood equals crispy Superman. We need something smarter." Superman's eyes narrowed. "She's the core. Kill the queen, the hive collapses. But her armor's too strong, even for me." Peter glanced at the skyscrapers around them, already half consumed by alien growth. His mind sparked. What about bringing the city down on her? Superman looked at him, surprised. "You mean?" "Exactly. We collapse the towers. Crush her under Manhattan itself. The one-time bad infrastructure actually helps." Clark hesitated. The risk was massive. Thousands of lives could be lost. Peter saw the doubt and snapped. "You said it yourself. Courage is what you do next. If we don't stop her now, there won't be a city left to save." For a moment, Superman's eyes softened. Then they hardened with resolve. "All right, let's end this." Final stand in Times Square. The queen lumbered into Times Square, her shadow devouring the neon glow. Screens flickered with static as slime spread across them. The hive surged behind her, a living ocean of claws and teeth. Spider-Man swung high, planting web lines across weakened skyscrapers, setting the trap. Superman dove into the heart of the swarm, fists blazing with sonic cracks, clearing a path. "Now, Spidey." Peter yanked the webs, triggering the collapse. Skyscrapers groaned, glass shattered, and entire towers toppled toward the queen. For a moment, hope flickered, but the queen caught the falling debris. With sheer monstrous strength, she shoved the buildings aside, roaring in defiance. Acid rained down, burning through steel. Peter froze in shock. "Oh, come on. She's stronger than skyscrapers." Superman's voice cut through. "Then we make her weaker." Superman's sacrifice. Before Peter could react, Superman shot upward, past clouds into the stratosphere. For a heartbeat, he was gone. Then the sky blazed. A comet of blue and red fire plummeted from orbit. Superman, using every ounce of strength, every drop of solar power, hurled himself down like a living meteor. He struck the queen head-on. The impact shook the entire city, a nuclear blast of force that shattered windows for miles. The queen screamed, pinned, her armor cracking under the force of a Kryptonian sacrifice. But acid sprayed everywhere. Clark's body burned. His screams joined hers. "Superman!" Peter shouted, swinging toward the chaos. The queen writhed, wounded but not dead. Superman was trapped under her, his strength failing. And in that instant, Peter Parker, tired, broken, terrified, knew it was up to him. The last web. The world had never seen Superman fall. Yet here he was, buried beneath the alien queen's monstrous body, pinned in a crater that smoked like a volcanic wound in the middle of Times Square. His cape, once a symbol of invincibility, lay in tatters, half melted by acid. His voice was hoarse, his strength failing, every breath laced with agony. The queen writhed, cracked but not broken. Acid blood poured like rivers, melting cars, chewing through asphalt, searing through the air with poisonous vapor. Her roar was not just pain, it was rage. The hive itself screamed with her, millions of aliens surging with renewed fury. And Spider-Man stood alone. Peter's choice. The ground trembled under the swarm. Chittering black bodies crawled across walls, skittered over rooftops, poured through streets like a living tide. Peter Parker's heart raced. His ribs ached from fractures, burns scorched his skin, his vision blurred with exhaustion. He wanted to collapse. He wanted to disappear. But his eyes locked on Superman, bleeding, struggling, still fighting. Clark had come to save a city that wasn't even his home, and he had nearly given his life to stop this nightmare. Peter clenched his fists, whispering through broken teeth. Not today. Not while I'm still standing. Web against the tide. The first wave of aliens charged, hundreds at once. Spider-Man launched himself into the swarm, body moving on instinct. Webs flew in every direction, blinding jaws, binding tails, yanking creatures into one another. He somersaulted over a spiked tail, kicked a xenomorph into a lamppost, spun midair, and webbed 3 more to a collapsing billboard. Every movement was desperate, frantic, yet precise. His spider sense screamed like a fire alarm, guiding him by the second. But there were too many. Claws slashed his side. Acid grazed his leg. Teeth sank into his shoulder before he ripped free, blood soaking his suit. Still he fought. For every alien that brought him down, 10 civilians were spared for another second. Superman's struggle. Beneath the Queen, Superman pushed with everything he had. His bones cracked, acid burned through his skin, but he refused to stop. Get clear. Peter, he shouted, voice breaking. Spider-Man dodged a lunging drone, panting. Yeah, no offense, Big Blue, but I don't think runaway is an option here. Superman's hands pressed against the Queen's chest, straining to lift her massive frame. She's too strong. I can't. Then don't, Peter snapped. His voice shook, but his resolve didn't. You've carried the world enough times. Let me carry it this once. The last web. Peter swung high above the battlefield, eyes scanning the skeletal hive towers surrounding Times Square. He remembered his plan. The city itself had to become the weapon. But skyscrapers weren't enough. Not anymore. He had to take it further. Landing atop the tallest remaining spire, Peter jammed his broken web shooters together, forcing them into overdrive. Steam hissed. Sparks flew. Okay, Parker, he muttered. One last trick. One last web. He fired. A single massive line shot across the skyline, splitting into countless strands, weaving itself into a colossal net. It stretched across blocks, anchoring to buildings, cranes, street lamps, every structure still standing. The last web. It pulsed under his grip, trembling with strain. Superman, Peter yelled. Hold her just 10 more seconds. The Queen breaks free. But 10 seconds was too long. The alien Queen heaved, her body tearing through rubble. Her claws slammed into the ground, lifting her massive frame. Superman staggered, collapsing to one knee. She loomed above him, jaws opening wide. Acid drooled in rivers, ready to burn him alive. Peter's heart stopped. No! He dove, firing webs at her face, yanking with every ounce of his strength. The Queen screeched, distracted for just a heartbeat. Enough time for Superman to roll free. But the Queen's tail lashed. It struck Peter midair. The blow sent him crashing through 2 buildings, glass and steel raining around him. His mask was torn completely away, blood pouring down his face. His body screamed with pain, but he forced himself up, leaning against rubble. He spat blood and whispered, Still here, lady. Still not quitting. A hero rises. The Queen roared and lunged at him. Thousands of aliens followed, surging like a living avalanche. And Peter Parker ran. Not away. Through. Straight into the swarm. He swung low, wrapped the Queen's legs with reinforced webs, then shot upward into his last web net, dragging every strand into position. The net tightened, groaned, the city itself straining as towers bent under the pressure. The hive tried to cut the webs, acid sizzling through strands, but Peter's shooters kept firing, layering more, faster, desperate. Come on, he cried. Hold just a little longer. Superman's return. From the crater, Superman rose again. His body smoked, his skin blistered, but his eyes burned with defiance. He saw Peter suspended in the net, arms shaking, the Queen thrashing below, and realized the truth. Peter wasn't just stalling. He was sacrificing. If the net collapsed with him inside it, the Queen would be crushed, but Peter would be too. Superman's heart clenched. He couldn't let that happen. With a final surge of Kryptonian strength, he shot upward, intercepting the Queen mid-lunge. He grabbed her jaws, forcing them shut, his muscles tearing under the effort. "Now, Peter," he roared. The collapse. Peter screamed, firing his final web shots, pulling with every ounce of strength left in his body. The net snapped. Skyscrapers toppled inward, cranes groaned and crashed. Entire blocks collapsed into the heart of Times Square. The weight of Manhattan itself came crashing down. The Queen screeched as towers crushed her body, chitin cracking, acid spraying in rivers. Her massive frame writhed, pinned under thousands of tons of steel and stone. The Hive screamed in unison, collapsing into chaos. And at the very center, Spider-Man dangled in his shredded webbing, body broken, vision fading. He smiled weakly through the blood. "Gotcha." Silence. The battlefield went still. The Hive's roar faded into silence. The swarm, cut off from their queen, fell into disarray, scattering, retreating, some collapsing outright. Times Square was unrecognizable, a crater of rubble, smoke, and fire. Superman emerged from the ruins, battered beyond recognition, but alive. He staggered toward Peter, who hung limply from a web line, unconscious but breathing. Clark caught him gently, cradling him in his arms like a fallen brother. "You did it, Peter," he whispered. His voice cracked with something rare for Superman. "Tears. You saved us all. The shadow remains." But high above, in the smoke, something stirred. The rubble shifted. Acid hissed. The alien queen, broken but not dead, dragged herself upward. Half her body crushed, her roar a guttural rasp of vengeance. Superman turned, shielding Peter with his body. His strength was nearly gone, and yet the fight wasn't finished.